A glass of wine with dinner feels civilized. Doctors say it benefits your heart. But what if that ruby pour hides something sinister? From arsenic to unlabeled sulfites that spike blood pressure and trigger medication interactions, some brands are slowly poisoning seniors. Today, we expose 9 toxic wines to avoid and 2 that are actually safe. Number 9. Franzia. Number 9, we have Franzia, the boxed wine giant that dominates grocery store shelves from coast to coast. Walk into any supermarket in America, and you will find that familiar cardboard box staring back at you. They promise affordable, everyday wine for casual enjoyment. The box shows rolling vineyards and happy families gathering around dinner tables, scenes of togetherness and celebration. What they do not tell you is what is actually inside that plastic bag, hidden within that cheerful packaging. Independent laboratory testing has revealed alarming levels of arsenic in several Franzia varietals. We are talking about a known carcinogen that accumulates in your body over time. Arsenic does not flush out easily like water or alcohol. It builds up in your kidneys, your liver, your bloodstream. It lodges in tissues and stays there. For seniors already managing kidney function or taking blood pressure medications, this is not a minor concern. This is not something to dismiss. This is a ticking time bomb sitting in your refrigerator disguised as relaxation. A 2015 class action lawsuit named Franzia specifically for arsenic levels exceeding what is considered safe in drinking water. Think about that for a moment. Let it sink in. The wine in your glass may contain more arsenic than the EPA allows in the water from your tap. The water you brush your teeth with has stricter standards than the wine you drink for pleasure. Yet there is no warning label on that box. No disclosure anywhere. No asterisk explaining the risks. Just that cheerful packaging promising good times and affordable enjoyment. The betrayal runs deeper when you consider how Franzia markets itself. Budget-friendly for families watching their spending. Perfect for seniors on fixed incomes who want to enjoy life without breaking the bank. Great for everyday enjoyment because you deserve to unwind. But every sip could be depositing heavy metals into organs that are already working overtime. Your liver processes your medications. Your kidneys filter your blood. Now they have to handle arsenic too. The wine pours out a pale gold or deep burgundy, looks perfectly normal, smells fruity and inviting. You would never know what is lurking beneath that pleasant aroma. Your nose picks up hints of grape and oak. Your eyes see a beautiful color catching the light. The arsenic is tasteless, odorless, invisible. It hides in plain sight while your kidneys struggle to process what your taste buds cannot detect. Your senses are completely fooled. Why do you think the FDA lets brands use ingredients and contaminants banned in other countries? European wine regulations are far stricter about heavy metal content. In France, in Italy, in Spain, these levels would never be tolerated. But here in the United States, Franzia continues to line grocery store shelves without a single warning. It sits right next to the organic options, right next to the premium bottles, as if it belongs there. Number 8. Sutter Home. At number 8, we have Sutter Home. The brand built its empire on approachability, the wine that brought white Zinfandel to American dinner tables. Sweet, easy-drinking, non-threatening wine for people who do not consider themselves wine connoisseurs. The labels feature pastoral California scenes that transport you to sun-drenched hills, family wineries passed down through generations, images of tradition and care that suggest quality without the intimidation of fancy wine terminology. But behind that wholesome image lies a troubling pattern of quality control failures and chemical shortcuts that put seniors at serious risk. The reality is far different from those scenic label illustrations. Laboratory analysis has detected elevated levels of sulfites in Sutter Home wines, often far higher than what appears on the label. Sulfites are preservatives, and while small amounts occur naturally during fermentation, commercial wineries often add significant quantities to extend shelf life and maintain that consistent color customers expect. For most people, this is a mild irritation at worst, maybe a slight headache, maybe nothing at all. But for seniors taking blood thinners, ACE inhibitors, or managing high blood pressure, sulfites can trigger dangerous and unpredictable reactions. We are talking about sudden drops in blood pressure that leave you dizzy and disoriented, severe headaches that feel like migraines pounding behind your eyes, flushing across your face and chest, rapid heartbeat that makes you wonder if something is seriously wrong, difficulty breathing that sends panic through your system. For someone on heart medication, these symptoms are not just uncomfortable, they are potentially life-threatening. One glass of wine should not send you to the emergency room. One glass of wine should not have your family calling 911. Sutter Home has also faced criticism for inconsistent fermentation practices that leave residual sugars far higher than labeled. That sweet, easy drinking quality that made them famous is not just about grape variety or winemaking tradition. It is about unfermented sugar lurking in every bottle. Sugar that can spike blood glucose levels in diabetic seniors without warning. Your doctor tells you one glass of dry wine is fine with dinner. But if that dry wine actually contains hidden sugars, you are sabotaging your own health management without knowing it. Your glucose monitor will tell a different story than the label. The wine looks innocent enough in your glass, that familiar pink blush catching the dining room light, that golden Chardonnay gleaming like liquid sunshine, smells like summer fruit and flowers drifting up from the rim, tastes smooth and sweet going down, warming your chest pleasantly. But your pancreas feels the sugar surge immediately. Your blood vessels feel the sulfite reaction building. Your heart feels the medication interaction taking hold. What looks like relaxation in a glass could be stress on every major organ in your body. Most people never learn how to spot these hidden dangers. They trust the labels, they trust the brands, they trust what their grocery store puts on the shelf. But stick around. We will break it down at the very end of the video. The solutions are coming. Number 7. Barefoot wine. Now at number 7, Barefoot wine. The best-selling wine brand in America. Not one of the best-selling, the best-selling. Number 1 by volume in the entire country. You have seen those footprint logos everywhere. Grocery stores up and down every aisle. Gas stations at every highway exit. Convenience shops in every neighborhood. Barefoot promises carefree enjoyment, beach vibes, and affordable celebration. The marketing suggests kicking off your shoes and relaxing without a worry in the world. What they do not advertise is what independent testing keeps finding in their bottles. Multiple laboratory analyses have flagged Barefoot wines for containing glyphosate residue. Glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup weed killer. The chemical that farmers spray on fields to kill everything that is not the crop itself. This is not about organic versus conventional farming preferences. This is not a lifestyle choice debate. This is about a chemical that the World Health Organization has classified as probably carcinogenic to humans, showing up in something you are drinking for pleasure, something you pour for celebrations, something you share with family. For seniors, the glyphosate concern is amplified by what researchers call bioaccumulation. Your body does not process and eliminate these chemicals as efficiently as it did 30 years ago. The liver slows down. The kidneys work harder with less result. The chemicals build up instead of flushing out. They linger in tissues. They interact with medications in ways scientists are only beginning to understand. That nightly glass of Barefoot Moscato could be delivering pesticide residue directly to tissues already stressed by age and prescription drugs. Week after week, month after month, year after year, a study published in 2019 tested multiple popular wine brands and found glyphosate in over 90% of samples. 90%. Let that number sink in. With Barefoot ranking among the highest concentrations detected. That means almost every bottle on the grocery store shelf contains detectable levels of herbicide chemicals. And not a single label mentions it, not a single warning, not a single disclosure. Barefoot also relies heavily on added sulfites and commercial yeasts that can trigger histamine responses. Seniors taking antihistamines or managing allergies are essentially fighting a losing battle when they drink this wine. Their medication working against the chemical load their evening wine introduces. Every sip creates more work for drugs that are supposed to be making them feel better. The wine itself looks cheerful and inviting. Those playful labels with dancing footprints suggesting joy and freedom. The bright colors in the glass sparkling under any light. Pale gold shimmering like treasure. Blushing pink soft as a sunset. Deep purple rich as royalty. Smells like fruit punch and summer memories from decades past. Goes down easy. Leaves a sweet finish that makes you want another glass. But that pleasant experience masks a chemical cocktail your body was not designed to handle, especially not decade after decade of daily exposure. The damage accumulates silently. Number 6. Cupcake Vineyards. Sliding into number 6, Cupcake Vineyards. The name alone suggests sweetness and indulgence, like treating yourself to dessert in liquid form, a little reward at the end of a long day. The branding is adorable and impossible to resist. Pastel colors that pop on the shelf, whimsical fonts that feel fun and approachable, promises of rich flavor and smooth enjoyment without pretension. Cupcake has become a staple at book clubs across America, a fixture at retirement parties, a ritual for evening relaxation when the day finally ends. But what if that sweet treat is actually a toxic trap waiting to harm you? Independent testing has repeatedly flagged cupcake wines for arsenic contamination, not at trace levels that scientists might dismiss, at concentrations that raise serious health alarms for anyone drinking regularly. The same 2015 lawsuit that targeted Franzia also named Cupcake as a major offender. The lawyers found enough evidence to bring both brands to court. Laboratory results showed arsenic levels in some cupcake varietals exceeding 10 parts per billion. That is double the EPA maximum allowable level for drinking water, twice keeps what they consider safe for the water in your home. Arsenic is a cumulative poison. This is critically important to understand. It does not announce itself with immediate symptoms. You do not taste it in your glass. You do not smell it swirling in the bowl. You do not feel sick right away after drinking. Instead, it quietly deposits in your bones, your kidneys, your liver. It settles into tissues and stays. Over months and years of regular consumption, it builds to dangerous levels. By the time symptoms appear, fatigue that will not lift, numbness in your extremities, skin changes you cannot explain, organ damage that shows up on tests. By then, the accumulation has already done serious harm. The damage is done before you ever knew to worry. For seniors managing chronic conditions, arsenic exposure compounds existing risks in dangerous ways. Kidneys already working to filter blood pressure medications now face additional toxic load they never signed up for. Livers processing cholesterol drugs now compete with heavy metal clearance. The body becomes a battleground where your medication fights your wine for metabolic priority. And neither wins cleanly. Both suffer. You suffer. Cupcake also uses aggressive filtration and fining processes that strip wine of natural antioxidants while doing absolutely nothing to remove heavy metals. So you are getting none of the heart-healthy benefits doctors mention when they say a glass of wine is fine. All the toxic risks nobody talks about. The worst of both worlds in an adorable package. The wine pours beautifully into your glass. Ruby red glowing like a gem or golden amber catching candlelight, depending on your selection. Smells like cherry pie cooling on the counter or vanilla cream fresh from the kitchen. Tastes rich and full, exactly as the marketing promised. Everything your senses experience says this is a treat, but that sensory pleasure is a Trojan horse. The danger is invisible, buried in the molecular structure of every sip, accumulating with every bottle you finish and recycle without a second thought. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposes. Number 5. Charles Shaw, 2-Buck Chuck. At number 5, we find Charles Shaw, affectionately called 2-Buck Chuck by millions of Trader Joe's shoppers who line up for the deal. The wine that made premium-sounding labels accessible to everyone regardless of budget. Under $3 a bottle in most locations. Sometimes under $2 when promotions run. The ultimate budget wine success story that made headlines and built customer loyalty. Wine enthusiasts mocked it. Budget shoppers embraced it. Everyone had an opinion. But here is what the price tag does not tell you. You get exactly what you pay for, and sometimes far less than even that bargain promises. Multiple laboratory analyses have found Charles Shaw wines contain elevated levels of both arsenic and lead. Lead, a neurotoxin with no safe level of exposure according to the CDC. 0 is the only safe number. For seniors, lead exposure accelerates cognitive decline in ways that cannot be reversed. It worsens memory issues that might otherwise stay manageable. It compounds the neurological challenges that naturally accompany aging and makes everything harder. That bargain bottle might be stealing years from your mental clarity, years you will never get back. The production shortcuts that make 2-Buck Chuck possible come at biological cost. They have to cut corners somewhere to hit that price point. Mass harvesting means grapes from contaminated soil get mixed with cleaner fruit without sorting. Rapid processing means less time for toxins to settle out during production. Industrial-scale fermentation means quality control gaps that premium wineries would never tolerate. When you process millions of gallons, things slip through. Charles Shaw has also faced complaints about cork taint and spoilage at rates far exceeding industry averages. Trichloroanisole contamination, the compound that causes cork taint and ruins bottles, that is not just an aesthetic problem ruining a dinner party. It indicates breakdown in quality control that extends to far more serious concerns. If they cannot keep cork taint out of their bottles, what else is slipping through their processes? What other contaminants are making it to market? The wine looks normal when you pour it. Maybe a bit cloudy compared to expensive bottles sitting nearby on the shelf, but nothing alarming to the casual eye. Smells okay when you swirl it. Fruit forward with that slightly chemical edge budget wines often carry. Tastes thin but drinkable if you are not particular about wine. The real danger is not in what your senses detect. It is in the heavy metals and contaminants your body absorbs with every glass, accumulating over years of budget shopping. Savings at the register. Costs to your health. What is the worst cheap wine you have ever tried? Drop it in the comments below. We want to hear your stories. Number 4. Yellowtail. Number 4 brings us Yellowtail, the Australian import that conquered American wine aisles with its bright yellow labels and playful kangaroo logo. You cannot miss it on the shelf. Approachable branding that feels fun and casual. Affordable pricing that fits any budget. Seemingly cheerful in every way. Yellowtail promises sunshine in a bottle. Outback adventures and casual sophistication without the pretentious price tag or intimidating wine terminology. What they do not promise is what you are actually getting when you twist off that cap. Yellowtail wines have tested positive for glyphosate residue at concerning levels in independent analysis. Australian vineyards use significant quantities of herbicides to manage their vast growing operations spanning thousands of acres, and those chemicals make their way into the final product sitting on your table. For seniors, glyphosate exposure is linked to gut microbiome disruption, the delicate bacterial balance that affects everything from digestion to immune function to medication absorption. Your gut is connected to your entire body's health. If your gut bacteria are compromised by herbicide exposure, your blood pressure medication may not absorb properly from your digestive system. Your diabetes drugs may not regulate glucose effectively because absorption is impaired. Your cholesterol treatment may not reach therapeutic levels in your bloodstream. One glass of wine should not undermine your entire medication regimen that keeps you healthy. But glyphosate-contaminated wine might do exactly that without you ever connecting the dots between your evening drink and your medications not working as well. Yellowtail has also been criticized for using mega purple, an industrial grape concentrate added to deepen color and mask inconsistent quality between batches. The wine needs to look the same every time you buy it. Mega purple makes that possible, but it also adds concentrated sugars and can spike glycemic response in ways natural wine does not. For diabetic seniors carefully managing carbohydrate intake down to the gram, this hidden additive throws calculations completely off. Your careful planning undone by something not even listed on the label. The wine looks gorgeous in the glass, exactly as intended. Deep, rich purples and reds that seem to glow with health and vitality. Smells like blackberries fresh from the bush and plums ripe from the tree, inviting and warm. Tastes bold and fruity, exactly what the marketing promises on every advertisement. But that artificial depth comes from additives your body does not need. And the herbicide residue comes free with every pour. You did not ask for it. You did not pay extra for it, but it is there. Do not go yet. The solution comes at the very end of this video, and it could change how you shop forever. Number 3. Woodbridge by Robert Mondavi. Stepping into number 3, Woodbridge by Robert Mondavi, the budget line from one of California's most respected wine names in the industry. Robert Mondavi built a legacy on quality and innovation over decades of dedicated work. His name means something to wine lovers, but Woodbridge exists to capture the value market, and that mission comes with compromises the premium labels never had to make. Serious compromises that affect your health. Laboratory testing has found Woodbridge wines contain both arsenic and lead at levels that should concern anyone drinking regularly. The Mondavi name provides a veneer of respectability that makes you trust the bottle. But Woodbridge grapes come from entirely different sources than the premium Mondavi bottles. Different vineyards with different practices, different quality standards at every step. You are paying for a name you recognize while getting industrial production methods designed to minimize cost. Woodbridge has also faced criticism for inconsistent sulfite levels across batches, sometimes far exceeding labeled amounts with no way for consumers to know. For seniors on cardiovascular medications, sulfite reactions can mimic heart attack symptoms in terrifying ways. Chest tightness that makes you grab your chest, rapid pulse pounding in your ears, difficulty breathing that sends panic through your body, facial flushing spreading across your skin. Imagine calling 911 because your wine interacted with your heart medication. That is not relaxation. That is not the pleasant evening you planned. That is a medical emergency waiting to happen. The production scale at Woodbridge facilities means thousands of gallons processed daily. Volume production at industrial pace. Quality control at that volume inevitably slips no matter how many procedures are in place. Batches with elevated contamination get blended with cleaner lots, diluting but not eliminating the problem completely. Every bottle is a gamble on which vineyard's grapes ended up in your glass, and what those grapes absorb from contaminated soil over their growing season. The wine presents well when you pour it. Clean burgundy or straw yellow colors catching the light beautifully. Pleasant fruit aromas with oak undertones that suggest sophistication. Smooth texture on the tongue, balanced flavor on the palate. Everything the Robert Mondavi reputation promises. But that reputation was built on premium wines crafted with care, not budget shortcuts designed for profit margins. The label may say Mondavi, but the contents tell a different story, one written in heavy metals and industrial processing. Is it not strange how billion-dollar food and beverage companies keep having contamination issues year after year? Yet their products stay on every shelf in every store as if nothing happened. Number 2. Menage a Trois. At number 2, Menage a Trois. The wine with the provocative name and the playful marketing that caught everyone's attention. Three varietals blended together for complexity and intrigue. A conversation starter at any dinner party. The labels suggest sophistication and adventure. A wine for people who appreciate life's pleasures and are not afraid to try something different. What the marketing does not mention is what those pleasures might cost your health in the long run. Menage a Trois wines have tested positive for arsenic contamination in multiple independent analyses conducted by different laboratories. The 2015 class action lawsuit included Menage a Trois among brands exceeding safe arsenic limits. Legal professionals examined the evidence and found enough to take action. For seniors, arsenic exposure is particularly dangerous because elimination pathways slow with age. Your body simply cannot keep up the way it used to. What a 30-year-old's kidneys might filter out efficiently, a 70-year-old's kidneys retain and struggle to process. The poison accumulates because your body cannot keep up with the toxic load. Day after day, glass after glass, the arsenic builds. The blending process that gives Menage a Trois its signature complexity also concentrates problems in unexpected ways. When you are mixing grapes from multiple sources, you are also mixing contamination profiles. Arsenic from one vineyard's soil, glyphosate from another vineyard's pest control, heavy sulfites from a third vineyard's preservation practices, all combined in one elegant bottle, all hitting your system simultaneously when you drink. A cocktail of contaminants masquerading as sophisticated winemaking. Menage a Trois also relies heavily on added tannins and coloring agents to achieve consistent appearance across batches throughout the year. Consumers expect the same color every time they buy. These industrial additives are not required on labels, so consumers never know they are drinking modified wine rather than pure fermented grape juice. For seniors with sensitivities or medication interactions, unlabeled additives are a complete unknown, impossible to account for in health management. Impossible to mention to your doctor because you do not even know they are there. The wine looks seductive in candlelight, exactly as the marketing team intended. Deep garnet with purple edges that catch every flicker of flame. Smells like dark fruit and warm spice. Complex and inviting like a promise of good things. Tastes rich and layered on your tongue, exactly as the blend promises. But that complexity masks a contamination profile equally layered. Arsenic and additives and processing chemicals all swirling together in your glass. Beauty on the outside, danger within. Comment. Bait. Ever noticed how these brands keep having recalls but nothing ever really changes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 1. Apothic Red. And now, the number 1 spot on our list. Apothic Red. The Gothic labeled wine that dominates the under $15 segment in stores across America. Dark bottles with mysterious branding that stands out on any shelf. Promises of bold flavor and deep complexity that feel more expensive than the price suggests. Apothic has built a cult following among casual wine drinkers who want something that feels special without the special price tag. Something to impress without overspending. But Apothic might be the most dangerous bottle on this entire list. The number 1 spot is not an honor. Independent laboratory analysis found Apothic Red contains some of the highest arsenic levels of any popular wine brand tested in comprehensive studies. We are talking concentrations that exceed EPA drinking water standards by significant margins, not trace amounts that might be dismissed. Meaningful amounts that matter to your body. Every glass delivers a dose of heavy metal contamination your body was not designed to handle, especially not repeatedly, night after night, over years of regular consumption. The cumulative effect is what causes the damage. Apothic also contains added sugars that do not appear clearly on labels where you might notice them. The smooth, dark fruit flavor profile that made it famous comes partly from residual grape sugar and partly from post-fermentation sweetening added during production. For diabetic seniors, this hidden sugar can spike blood glucose unexpectedly and dangerously. Your doctor says 1 glass of dry red is fine with dinner. That is the advice you follow. But Apothic is not dry, it is sweetened, and your glucose monitor will show the difference even if the label does not tell you the truth. The production methods at Apothic prioritize consistency over purity at every step. Every bottle needs to taste identical, regardless of vintage or grape source. That is what the brand promises. That consistency requires industrial processing, heavy filtering, and additive use that strips natural variation while doing nothing to remove heavy metal contamination. You are getting a standardized product. Standardized in flavor profile. Standardized in contamination levels. Every bottle the same dangerous promise. The wine pours dark as midnight into your glass. Almost black in the bowl with blood-red edges catching the light. Smells like berries and chocolate and vanilla, all designed to appeal to your senses. Engineered for pleasure and repeat purchases. Tastes smooth and sweet on your palate, without the tannin bite that natural red wine carries. Every sensory signal says drink more, enjoy another glass, finish the bottle. But your kidneys, your liver, your cardiovascular system are receiving entirely different signals. Signals of stress and overwork. Signals of toxic load building up. Signals your body tries to send before it is too late. Will you listen? Ever notice how the same companies that fund heart-healthy studies are the ones selling products full of hidden contaminants? Does it not feel like grocery stores care more about pretty labels than what is actually inside the bottle? Like they profit from your confusion? Stick around. The two safe wines are coming up next, and they might surprise you with what is actually possible. These same toxins are in your bread, your coffee, your chocolate, every aisle. Scan the code. The Safe Food Guide shows you exactly what to look for on every label so you never get fooled again. Toxic additives decoded. Safe brands ranked. Just $4.99. Take control. Stop poisoning yourself. Safe pick number 1. Dry Farm Wines. The first actually safe option is Dry Farm Wines. This is a curated wine club that sources from small organic vineyards in Europe, where farming practices and contamination standards are genuinely strict. No corporate shortcuts, no industrial processing. Every bottle is lab tested for sugar content before it reaches customers, guaranteeing less than 1 gram per liter, which is essentially nothing. Every bottle is tested for sulfites, keeping levels below 75 parts per million, far lower than commercial brands that do not even bother measuring accurately. Every bottle is tested for alcohol content, typically under 12.5%, reducing liver stress and morning effects. Most importantly, Dry Farm Wines tests for heavy metals and rejects any wine that shows contamination. Arsenic, lead, glyphosate, any harmful compound. If it shows up in lab results at any detectable level, that wine never reaches customers. Period. No exceptions. No blending to dilute. Complete rejection. This is what actual safety looks like in practice. Not marketing claims on pretty labels, not pastoral images suggesting purity, not legacy brand names trading on old reputations. Actual independent testing with actual rejection of contaminated products. For seniors managing blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney function, Dry Farm Wines removes the guesswork entirely. You know exactly what you are drinking down to the molecule. You know the sugar content will not spike your glucose overnight. You know the sulfite levels will not trigger medication interactions that scare you. You know heavy metals are not accumulating with every bottle you enjoy. That certainty is worth far more than any price difference at checkout. Safe pick number 2. Scout and Cellar Clean Crafted Wines. The second safe recommendation is Scout and Cellar Clean Crafted Wines. This company built its entire business model around transparency and purity from day one. Every wine in their portfolio meets strict, clean-crafted standards that go beyond what any regulation requires. No synthetic pesticides used in the vineyard at any point. No added sugars during production at any stage. No artificial colors or flavoring agents to mask quality issues. Scout and Cellar tests for over 200 potentially harmful compounds and publishes their standards openly for anyone to review. They reject wines that major retailers would happily stock and sell. Their commitment is not to volume production or hitting price points for shareholders. It is to actual safety for consumers who have been betrayed by mainstream brands for too long. Too many years. Too many health scares. For seniors, Scout and Cellar offers peace of mind that commercial wines simply cannot provide no matter what the labels promise. Their lower sulfite levels mean fewer headaches the morning after, fewer medication interactions that require explanation, fewer unexplained symptoms after enjoying a glass that make you worry. Their sugar-free standards mean diabetics can actually trust what they are drinking. Their heavy metal testing means your kidneys are not fighting contamination while simultaneously processing your prescriptions. Your organs can focus on their real job. The wine looks like wine should look when made honestly. Natural variation in color and clarity because nothing artificial creates uniformity, batch after batch. Smells like actual grapes and terroir rather than engineered flavor profiles designed in laboratories. Tastes clean and pure on your palate, without that chemical edge commercial wines often carry when you pay attention. This is what wine used to be before industrial production prioritized profit over safety, before marketing budgets mattered more than your health. Do not risk your health on toxic wines anymore. You have seen the evidence. You know the brands. The bottles in your grocery store were never tested for what matters most to your body. And your health has been paying the price quietly, invisibly, with every glass. Subscribe now. And if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.